Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Listen Up. What is your relationship with your money? Well, before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. Go grab a girlfriend and nudge her and say, hey, Oasis Wellness of Life is on, and there's some great money strategies going on over there. Well, I trust and believe that everybody is having a amazing holiday season. And with that, we have an amazing topic today to talk about, kind of to, get us to thinking about some things, right? But before we get started, y'all know I need to wet my whistle. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And before we even go to Grandma's cookie jar, I would like to remind us to grab our notebooks, whatever notebook inspires you, whatever notebook, sometimes I love colors in my books. I just whatever type of notebook that inspires you. Composition book is just fine. But whatever type of book inspires you, grab that book and let's start adding some more reference tools to help us get to where we're going. Wow, 2023 is right around the corner, knocking on the door, right? Man, and I hope we got our money, have all of our money strategies together. I know I'm working on mine, still working down to the last bit of this fourth quarter, right? So let's go on over to Grandma's cookie jar. I know over the holiday season, we're all making, cooking and I think the thing that I enjoy most is the family time. Really taking time out to spend time and to listen to my grandchildren and hear what they're up to and what's going on with them. And, a couple of my grandchildren, especially the eldest grandchild who is 9 years old, he says, I talk about him all the time in my podcast because he's very, very inspirational. To me, I think he's inspirational for his brothers and sisters because, oftentimes if we, people look at what we do, so they model themselves after us, right? So what are you doing? Are you putting these money strategies in place? Even instilling this information in our young children because, hey, they're the leaders of tomorrow. So it's important that we pour into them, right? So I usually don't sell grandma's cookie jar, but today I wanted to make a point. We talked about this on one of the previous shows last week. We talked about your mistakes don't define you, right? Your mistakes don't define you. And I think sometimes, and the reason I wanted to circle back with that one is because sometimes we don't give ourselves a break, right? Sometimes we are hardest on ourselves. Today I want to talk about, I heard Dr. George Fraser say this in one of the meetings. He said, extracting yourself from poverty. Sometimes something can hit you like with like a bolt of lightning. We're on our everyday grind of things. But he said, extracting yourself from poverty. So that gave me the notion, and I said, wow, let's think about that. Let's tease that out just a little bit. When you extract yourself from poverty, that means that you have a choice, right? That you have the ability to make different decisions. I want to talk about one of the things that I say all the time is standing on the shoulders of giants. For me, that means having role models, coaches, and mentors that have done what it is that you aspire to do, right? I use my book as an example. I wanted to get my book out, and who knew I would have ran into a manuscript development team that was absolutely phenomenal that helped me within a relatively short amount of time to get my book, which was their tagline, the Matthews Entrepreneurs Group, and actually is We Create Books is this branch, but their tagline is get your book out of your head so that it can be published and read. And that's exactly what they did for me when I started to publish my first book at Smoothie Time, and then now on to Daddy Daughter Dynamic, the second one. And I use those examples just to get it, like kind of cemented in our minds that we can actually do whatever it is that we aspire to do. We may have thought, that maybe we wanted to write a book, but we don't know the steps, right? Well, all you have to do is start. Because as you start thinking about it, it will manifest, right? I wanted to understand, you'll have to really, really get this. I wanted to understand, okay, when you make money, what do you do with it? Without, going to a broker and just trusting them, I wanted to understand a little bit more myself. So I started upon this, researching and asking the questions and meeting the right people. And it took me right into where I needed to be to understand more about my money, right? So my point is, in order for us to extract ourselves from poverty, we need to do some things a little different, because when what it is they say, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, it's insanity. Well, it's the same thing with our money. Year after year after year, we go into the holiday seasons, we go into the Christmas season. We're going to talk a lot more about this. We're going to the Christmas season, and we start spending, spending, spending. Credit cards, ching, 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 ching. And before we know it, in January, we have a mound of bills, right? I think they said something about the around the holidays and right after the holidays. That's when the more cases of depression and anxiety are reported, because we haven't stopped to think about it, balance it out, right? And I'm not saying that it's not okay to participate, but balance it out if you do want to participate, and think about tomorrow versus just the instant gratification of spending, 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 spending. We talked about thecalculatorsite.com and how to use the 4X compounding calculator. I'm going to do a more in-depth show or podcast on how important that calculator is. And as you get it into your mind and you get it ingrained, you will understand how $2, $5, $10, $15, $100, how when you start compounding that money, and when you start saving and saving and putting that aside, we talked about also when Dr. George Fraser was talking about, he said savings account versus investment account. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. With the rate of inflation being 8.5% and banks paying about 0.5% annually, there's a reason that we need to do something more with our money, right? Because we're losing our buying power by not learning the strategies in which to help us to get to the next level, right? Oftentimes, and I think the statistic is that 44% of Americans can put their hands on $400 in the case of emergency, in the case of a flat tire, or in the case of a washer dryer go out, or in the case of any severe emergency, we have to go to then borrowing, or just we don't have the liquid, right? So it's just a great thing for us to take a real look at our finances, right? Take a real look at it and see, because that is like the foundation for everything else, because money is a shield and a defense, and that helps us to get to where we're going. So as we go through this holiday season, we want to think about, how do we shift from putting our money in a savings that's not making any money to going into an investment vehicle, a vehicle that's going to help us to generate revenue on top of that. And I was so happy when I finally got that, when someone finally explained that to me. Because growing up, if we're not taught those strategies, we don't know. And you don't know what you don't know until you know that you didn't know it, right? Man, I got that from one of my partners, right? So it's like putting yourself or surrounding yourself around people that can help you to elevate to the next level. So while you're pouring into them in your areas of strength and expertise, they can pour into you in their strength and expertise. And before you know it, you're well-rounded. And now everything starts with a seed, right? So when you water it, well, you plant it first. You water it, you fertilize it, you nurture it, and in time, it will produce a harvest. And that's what you look for when you're looking for, ways to generate a systematic cash flow on top of your money. So think about it this way. If you go in and you start to deplete the principal or deplete the initial investment, when you start spending from that, you have nothing to grow from. You have no seed money at that point. So I wanted us to take a close look at the holiday season coming up, right? So one thing that I started doing with my children as they were growing up, as I started seeing Christmas after Christmas, I was following what I was taught. What did we grow up? Big Christmas with gifts and everything all over the place, right? So think about that. That's what I did until one day I was saying, man, I gotta clear out gifts. I gotta clear out the old toys to bring in the new toys, right? And there's nothing wrong with a few. It's just a paradigm shift. Us understanding how we make the greatest impact on our future. And how do we make the greatest impact on our today, right? Whatever we do today affects our tomorrow. So whatever we're doing, planting, growing, cultivating, whatever we're doing today, that's what the harvest or the fruit is going to be for tomorrow. So if we don't plant anything, how do we expect the harvest to come up next tomorrow? So with that, I just wanted us to really understand that we do have a choice when it comes to extracting ourselves from poverty. We have a choice. And the choice is to learn more, to continue to saturate ourselves and put ourselves around the information, to make sure that we're getting good information. For the longest, I wasn't getting good information. I was only getting a part of it. And it was not getting me to go to the next level. It was just a part, just enough for me to continue to do what I'm doing, but it was not helping me to elevate. So I hope this conversation helps somebody to just think about it as we're going out, on Black Friday, and as we're going out, spending, spending, spending. We really have to think about what seeds are we planting today that are going to give us the harvest tomorrow. And the seeds that we are planting today, are these the seeds that's going to give us the harvest that we want tomorrow? All righty. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. Somebody needs to hear about how to extract themselves from poverty. All righty. Y'all stay fearless. Don't forget to listen, learn, and leverage the information. All righty. Y'all stay fearless. Bye for now.